Я уезжать никуда, мне косы.
А сколько у вас коз?
20.
20 коз?
Да. Раньше это были там утки. Потом приехали, как вам сказать, переселенцы и превратили этот сарай в жилье. Пасу.
А дроны за козами не гоняются?
Не. Вот что странно. Не гоняются. А с коровами, да.
За коровами гоняются?
За коровами, не знаю, гоняются, не гоняются, но те, которые пасли коров, все убитые.
Сколько было таких пастухов?
Не очень много, но уже нет. Уже нет.
А вы не боитесь?
Мне 100 лет в обед. Что я должна бояться? А они что, не боятся? Все боятся. Все боятся, но каждый на что-то надеется. А вы корреспондент, да?
Я корреспондент, да.
Да.
Я американская корреспондент.
Американский.
Ну, я здесь зараз живу, так что...
Ну, ничего. Вы должны помогать нам с Америки.
Да.
Everybody's gotta live. And everybody's gonna die. Everybody just wanna have a good time. I think you know the reason why. Oh.
Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Not So Chill Halloween 2025 edition. Thank you, High Fidelity, as always, for those incredibly powerful openers. It's really, really hard to see the Grandma Lora interview, the goat herder from Ukraine, and not just feel so angry. But we got to go through this. We got to go straight through it. And I'm glad that I'm going through it with you too. We are Rad Pod and Chill. We are the weekly live stream edition of our kind of a recap of our most recent episode. As you can see, we interviewed Zarina Zabriskie this week, who is reporting from Ukraine's front lines, focusing on the city of Kherson. It's a southern port city that is being absolutely annihilated. And a new United Nations report came out this week, the third report, basically talking about the crimes against humanity for the usage of drones, and now deportations, trying to empty out cities in Ukraine. So anyway, we have much to talk about, both domestically and globally. But again, thank you for setting the stage for what we're going to talk about. And who wants to check in first?
Are you
That's
pointing
me
at me?
pointing at Jim through Heidi. It's Jim, you're over there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm currently deep into German philosophy, because how else, are you going to explain this bullshit, right? At some level. So, I've been the what's happening is so, obvious and brutal and immoral, right? That to me, I'm just deeply curious, where did these ideas come from? How is it that the human mind has been,
Right.
flipped on its head,
Right.
to hate each other instead of love each other? And, you have to go deep. I also spent a lot of time in neuroscience papers.
Yeah.
There's the threat system in the brain is really hackable, and I believe that there's a very obvious explanation for how so many people end up mirroring the movement, mirroring the president, or whatever you want to call him, as opposed to being thinking, human beings.
Right.
And just briefly, there's what's called, you may have heard the term subcortical, which means below your conscious thought. It's subconscious. It's unthinking, and that process, that subcortical emergency broadcast system, can be hacked so that it comes in before any thinking happens at all. There are several well-known systems in the brain that train you based on a kind of what's called a salience map in your brain. It's kind of like an emergency, map. And if something comes up that fits into this network, it will go straight to your amygdala.
Yeah.
It will go straight to the back of your head and skip the front altogether. And so when all of the propaganda that they use, the traumatic, terrifying propaganda, of threats, whether it's immigrants or trans people or whatever it is, they've built this propaganda to make it so that the followers, when they hear a trans person, or they see an immigrant, or they see an ICE officer or whatever, they have a subcortical reaction to it. It happens that the emotion of fear happens before anything else, before the brain is able to kick in. And all of this is just a hack based on the technology that we have, because we've scaled the ability to connect with each other. Look at us. We've got, a bunch of fine people listening to us right now. Europe. Hi-Fi is in the middle of the we're all over the goddamn place, and we're sharing ideas and talking with each other, and it's fucking amazing. But that is new. All of this is new, and so they have figured out how to hack this system so that, for example, if Heidi all of a sudden started yelling screaming and hate, 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 hate. What that does is creates the threat system turns on automatically. You can't stop it. So why are you saying hate, right? And then she stops. The brain chemistry means that there's a window of time after that and a window of time before that that gets imprinted more strongly on the brain. So when you hear Donald Trump go back and forth constantly between traumatic descriptions of threats and boastful messages about himself and how powerful he is and how he's a solution, that is a hack. That is a physiological neurochemical hack, and we're going to have to figure out how to unshort circuit that short circuit. Otherwise, we're going to fall prey to the sort of board-like surveillance state that
Oh,
Al Mafia wants.
oh yeah. So much, so much to unpack there. One is that in your Substack that addresses this, you have really a good list of solutions, both short term and long term, on things you can do in the moment and the stay safe, stepping away, taking that 90-second break, finding another place to go. And I'm really glad to hear that you are embracing some of the like meditative things that people need to do to stay sane. That is something that is incredibly important. And then also, go ahead.
It's not for me. It's not a spirit like I've always kind of reacted against it because it's a spiritual thing or
Yeah.
whatever, but it's not at all. Like in the practices that I mentioned there, interoceptive, I think is the right word for it. Your brain is connecting mentally with your body,
Yeah.
and that has a physiological effect.
Oh yeah.
If you monitor your breath, it is very difficult for your subconscious to get in the way of that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to an autonomic process. And so, there are a bunch of little techniques. There's a 90-second decay time.
Yeah.
This was new to me. There's a 90-second decay in neuroepinephrine, which increases excitability and hypervigilance. And so you need to wait 90 seconds after you see something traumatic before you start to fact check it, before you start to make any assumptions, because your perception and your discernment is going to be wildly off until those neurochemicals have subsided.
Thank you for that. I just want to bring up, I just did a report that'll run probably this weekend in Byline for my hot type column on, what Elon Musk has been up to. Clearly, he is, gaming the internet for his fascist purposes. But the video he did where he was talking to an Italian League Party Congress, it was a video that I'm sure you saw. It went semi-viral just in the last few hours. But basically, he's talking about how there's going to be violence in Europe and violence in Europe. And it's this whole ginning up of violence in Europe. But I noticed that he used the word attacks 3 times in the same sentence. Going to be these attacks, attacks, attacks. Now, these guys know obviously exactly what they're doing. It goes to what you were saying originally. It's that install
That's a
fear.
threat.
That is an absolute threat. And here's the thing: I have been in Europe most of this year, and you want to see a place where people are cool, get together, ride public transit all day long together. Just whatever country I've been in like 8 now. What he's describing is fictional, but he has the power and the money and the alliances. If they want to do black swan events, if they want to pay throwaway agents to do sabotage or provocateurism, they can and they will and they have. We're seeing arrest after arrest. You saw that the Ukrainian intelligence just arrested a UK citizen working as basically a Russian spy in Ukraine. And so these are this, you know, happens over and over again. But these guys are the threat. Grokpedia delivering Russian, you know, propaganda is the threat. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. But you know, as long as we are able to know, and we do this on the show, we are able to isolate and talk about what the real threats are. I think it makes it clear for people who are paying attention that it's not who these billionaires say they are. They are the threats.
You mean Kremlinopedia? Because it's
Well
not
done.
Crocopedia.
Well done.
Let's just be honest here. All right. Let's take a look at some of the things that we're talking about here. We've got social media, which is we've all acknowledged and everyone has acknowledged is addictive, right? The cat and dog videos that give you the warm fuzzies, you get addicted to that, right? The fight videos that get your neurochemicals all boiling up, you get addicted to that. And then they start feeding you messaging through it, targeted messaging, as we learned from, you know, the great hack, data and disinformation, investigating Cambridge Analytica. So you're targeting people to manipulate their neurochemicals. I mean, let's face it, the internet is being used to deliver digital drugs to people to drive them insane and eventually lead them to violence. I mean, look at the terrorist attack that the FBI stopped today. You know, oh gee, it was another young man who was radicalized on the internet.
Yeah, and Cash Patel tweeted
We're gonna
about
need
it
we're gonna need
before
a name
anybody-
for
yeah, we need a button for Cash.
Yeah, we do.
How about just a big deep voice that says "Chud"?
Well,
or it needs googly eyes, and he's like googly eyes.
Oh, is
every-
FBI picture with the giant? Okay, yeah.
everything.
We're
Go ahead,
workshopping
Jim.
it live, people. You're
Okay,
seeing
workshop.
it anyway.
We'll take any ideas you guys have. But bottom line, Jim, before you go into what you're going to say, it's just really important that people remember in authoritarian regimes, you cannot trust official statements. You can't trust anything that is coming out of Kash Patel's mouth, whether, you know, you'd have to figure out yourself if it's true or not, because these are not trustworthy people or trustworthy sources. So whatever he says is happening, I don't believe it. I don't have any trust in him.
Well, he literally manufactured for Charlie Kirk, for several other crimes. He manufactured, you know, or presented as evidence in a very targeted way to make it seem like these were radical lefts. And now that just gets repeated all day long on Fox, all day long by Trump and fucking Carolyn Levitt and whoever else. It was the radical left who killed Charlie Kirk. The fuck it was. It was a grouper.
Yeah.
It was a grouper. Most of these guys are groupers.
Yeah.
And why is that? What I'm working on right now is amorality versus immorality. That's my next article.
That's interesting.
Because they're different. And just briefly, you can think of Stephen Miller as immoral.
Yeah.
Right? He has a fucking grudge. He is angry, and he has crafted an ideology around it.
Yeah.
An evil ideology, but it is an ideology. It is immoral in the sense that it knows morality is, and it turns it upside down like that on purpose. Trump is different. Trump is not immoral and wait, in the sense of a lot of these people. He's amoral. He has no conception, literally at all, internally, of what's right and wrong. The only calculation that he has is, does this benefit me personally? Does it hurt my enemies? Does it prevent a terrible shame from overtaking me, which is the whole Epstein thing. Right. And so what you end up with is immoral people using amoral people as their vehicle. And this has
Wow.
happened before.
Right.
There's a guy named Giovanni Gentile that people don't know about, but he's the philosopher who created fascism. He's the guy who took Benito Mussolini's street movement, the Il Fasces, in Italy in the 19 teens, and turned it into an ideology of hate and authoritarianism. So in that case, yeah, Giovanni Gentile, and I'm writing about this, and Mussolini as your immoral and amoral sort of pair.
Yeah.
In Nazi Germany, you had Carl Schmitt, who I've written about, who
Yeah.
wrote about the state of exception that Trump uses all the time. We're in an
Yeah.
emergency right now. The government is shut down. He's got the Insurrection Act is coming, right? All of that is Carl Schmitt. But Carl Schmitt used, him and Goebbels used an amoral, somebody who had no, all he cared about was the Fuhrer, right?
Right.
And so you get this pairing of the ideologically immoral and the completely amoral, and it creates the most dangerous combination the world has ever seen. I'm afraid we're in it again.
Yeah, and then you have obviously the world's wealthiest man throwing down on all of this and using his
Yeah, and he is immoral. Let's be super clear.
building his platforms, and his father, who married his sister, ends up trying to get a Russian passport now. So it's like it's all so
Well, he
gross.
also is accused of molesting other kids.
Yes, and of course you have Stephen Miller's very angry wife. I don't know if you saw the video where I'm not a fan of any of those people. I can't stand any of them, but the way she responded, I think you actually did see, because I think you commented on it and can do a better job.
I'm
But
including
just
that.
the self-righteousness and
So what she did was, if you didn't see it, was Cenk Uygur, who from Young Turks, not a big fan, thank you, yada yada. Said something, and Katie Miller just turned around and said, "We're going to check your passport. Your papers better be, up to date."
Magda Goebbels was really bad.
He is a naturalized U.S. citizen, and this is and remember, Stephen Miller's relationship to DHS is official. He is the White House advisor to the DHS. So he's running that. He's running the whole. He is running the whole goddamn thing, and his wife is threatening the commenters live on air with her husband's agent. I mean, it's the openness and the blatantness of their immorality is becoming much more and more clear, and to some extent I think that works to our advantage.
I hope
honestly.
so.
I mean,
I hope
like
so.
the speed of this thing, I maintain is too fast. They're running towards an exit that is quickly going away from them. It doesn't mean that we're even going to have an election. It doesn't mean any of that. But I don't. My kind of internal hope that there is still a growing body of fuck this in the United States is I'm feeling more and more comfortable that is still there.
I can tell you that in the world, in Europe, there's an absolute Trump is abhorred and Musk is abhorred, both of them abhorred. So it's playing out in elections. Apparently, Nigel Farage's connection to Trump is working as a negative against him. We'll be talking about that in an upcoming episode. The evil villain hair is passé. The candidate who's most Trumpian and pro-Putin in Holland, or the person leading a party with supervillain hair, failed pretty badly in a recent election in Holland, and these are good signs. But more than anything, I just did.
And the AFD lady is trying to get what you call it over here.
Asylum, but
Asylum.
that really
Asylum.
pisses me off because that goes back to the upside down propaganda. There are people who are really in dangerous situations who really need asylum from really scary dictators, and so that is just another example of upside down propaganda where they make the reverse true, and I'm actually quite
Well,
angry about that.
they
Uh,
also the amnesty program that we have had in America forever. It was 125,000 people under Biden, and Trump reduced it to 7,500. All of which, or almost all of which, are fucking Afrikaners. The white supremacists who can't get over the fact that apartheid was
Yeah.
canceled
right.
and are living in these little fucking like Nazi compounds or whatever in South Africa. And because Elon Musk presented the fucking moron who runs a country with a
I
bunch of
remember that.
propaganda
Yeah.
about Afrikaners, being under siege or whatever, which is bullshit. Now the entire amnesty program of the United States of America is aimed specifically at one group of fucking Nazis. Like that's it.
Wow.
Like you can't get more sort of how have we inverted our morality? And I think
Right.
we are going to have to push back hard
Well,
on that.
so there's examples of that. In Holland, they're actually making it easier for people to gain asylum. There are places that are actually doing the reverse. And one thing I want to bring up before we go to show some of our highlights from our most recent episode is the interview I was just mentioning that I just did with Craig Unger. Please read it. I called it American Compromat. It's at my Betty Dangerous Substack. Uh, it is so clear to me, and I know it's clear to Jim, and I know it's clear to Hi-Fi, that the relationship Donald Trump has to Jeffrey Epstein is an Achilles heel that can be exploited. It is the poison that can take this man down. It is the manipulation that was used to build the MAGA cult. And this is the exact thing that can take him down. So that should never be out of the headlines for a moment. And he will do, of course, everything to, push it out of the headlines by doing, one shock event after another. But I believe after talking to Craig Unger, who probably knows more about this subject than anybody, has written 6 books with multiple books specifically that are, dedicated to Trump, Russia, and a deep dive in American Compromat on Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Maxwell, and Ghislaine Maxwell. So I'm just putting that out there because I know our audience probably knows that, but there's going to be so many challenges ahead that if we stay the course and keep pushing on that, I do think that will be something that poisons his his
Well,
character,
he's
etc.
on day 30 something of not 36 of not seating Grijalva. I mean, I think Hi-Fi put a graph in there in the intro.
Oh yeah.
It's bonkers. It's the longest any person who's won an election in the House of Representatives has gone without being seated.
Yeah.
And the entire reason for that, and the entire reason why the Congress is shut down, is because they can't. Because Donald Trump is terrified of whatever the fuck is in there, and yes, I think it has a chance of putting a hurt on him, but I also think that if and when those things come out, it will be a flashpoint in his presidency as opposed to somehow diminishing it. If you know anything about malignant narcissists and collapse patterns, and I've written a lot about this,
Yeah.
and it has been borne out, every single thing, like
Yeah.
it does not get better.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
As long as the threat to his personal ego is out there,
Yeah.
and to him it feels like annihilation. This is what psychiatrists say. It's not just like I'm worried about it.
Yeah.
It's death. It is the void that must be fucking. And so he will not only do everything in his power to prevent that information from coming out, but when it does, I mean, and I don't mean to get weird, but dude is like started nuclear testing
I know.
again.
I know.
And
Nuclear paranoia.
and this kind of shit and this kind of brinksmanship and transgressing constantly. I'm sorry, but there's no psychological barrier, or for that matter, institutional barrier between him nuking whatever, picking something to nuke. And if anyone thinks that's out of possibility, I'm sorry to tell you differently. There's no limit in this kind of psychology, and when you have people like Miller behind him, egging it on and creating the alternate reality around him that supports it. I just don't know where it goes from here. We're just picking off fishermen and shit in this, in the ocean. All of that is performative violence, right?
Yeah. These are
this last thing, I've been talking about this since the day that the ships took off. 4 fucking months ago, or whenever it was.
Yeah, I know.
Venezuela is being invaded. It's
Yeah,
going to be invaded. We have 14% of the Navy down there now.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I keep on seeing everything that you guys and this show's been talking about 4 years, 3 years ago, whatever. It's just like, yeah, we told you. High Fidelity, you've got your finger up.
Russia has already told us how far they're willing to go. They have said, we will save the world or we will destroy it. Right?
Yeah, the world means nothing without Russia.
Exactly. The world means nothing without Russia. So, if I were NATO, I'd be trying to figure out where every single nuclear explosive that Russia has is located and planned on sending shock troops in to seize them, because now you've got two nuclear powers.
No, you're way.
Well,
two nuclear powers.
You're over your skis, bro. You can't do that with 7,000.
Anyway,
it's a nice dream, but I will say, have you seen the head of NATO? We needed
he's kissing Trump's ass.
You got a bureaucrat, not a fan.
I actually want to push back.
I know, Jim.
I like Root. I think Root is doing everything that he possibly can in his position to keep Donald Trump mollified and to give himself time to build up NATO. I really think that the guy is on the right side of history and is, like many people, playing Donald Trump as hard as he can.
Thought so too, until I watched a couple of recent interviews, and now I don't believe that. I believe he's a bureaucrat, just like Biden was a bureaucrat, and we need somebody who has more moxie, more of a warrior spirit. And if you look at his leadership when he was the leader of Holland, and the meetings that he had with Putin back then, and again, it was a different era, I'll give him that. Put it this way, I hope you're right. I am worried that he's not our guy.
I'm not advocating for him or anything. I'm just saying I don't think he's. I was worried because he was sucking up to Trump so hard.
No, that he had to do. That was, like you said.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yes, I agree with you. He's not the badass we need in there. But remember, NATO is mostly America. I mean, there's. It has been. We have been, the kind of number one participant of NATO for a very long time. Yeah. So it puts the chairman of the guy in charge of NATO in a tough bind.
All I know is
I agree.
Two
I
things.
will
Yeah.
say that European defense industry companies are probably a good investment over the next 12
Yeah.
to 36 months. Anyway.
Yeah, I hope so.
Or
One thing I
decade.
want is that I am meeting a lot of people who are leaving their own countries, whether it's the US or whether it's Georgia, to move to Ukraine because they want to be in a country that still believes in democracy. So it's very interesting to see what's going on here in Europe. But also one thing I wanted to point out, and forgive me if I said this last time, I don't think I did, but I'm reading a book by Richard J. Evans called Hitler's People. He's the Cambridge professor that does a lot of really deep, well reported, books on the history of the Weimar period and the Nazis. And one thing that I found very interesting, and I'm sure you guys might too, is that there was a period like in 28 when the Weimar Republic was like they were starting to stabilize. Hyperinflation was starting to stabilize. They were a bit, it looked like things were going to be okay. Then 1929 hits and Black Monday, Tuesday, whatever hits, and uh, everything goes to hell. And they end up with a chancellor at the time who was a monarchist, who then started delivering all these austerity measures. And what happened then is that every day the communists were out protesting, and every day the communists were, out there with their signs saying, we want to be Soviet Germany. And that freaked voters out in various areas in Germany. And that is when the Nazis ended up getting more votes and more power. And then suddenly Hitler had a foothold. So I find it very interesting that people like Mike Johnson, etc., continue to say the communists, the Marxists, Antifa, whatever, because these are old tropes to scare people into thinking that the extreme right is a better choice. And we can see that it's not. It's so un-American, people.
Yeah, no, I mean that period of German history is important, and you're right. It was a monarchist who did what did he use? He used the state of exception. He used Carl Schmitt's idea that if I don't want to use this, constitutional order or whatever, I just call an emergency and do whatever the fuck I want. And it was that, because the Weimar Constitution was not dissimilar from the U.S. Constitution. I can't remember the act number, but there's a specific act in the Weimar Constitution that basically said, well, if there's some bullshit going on, the president can just kind of take over and do what he wants.
Yeah.
And that was left in by the monarchists who were afraid of democracy. They were afraid
Right.
that if you left it to representatives to make decisions, and there was a process that you could never get anything done. And that is the fear and the sort of authoritarian tendency that seems endemic somehow to humanity. And it is the job of a democracy, of a constitutional republic, to ensure that ideology, the notion that we need a supreme ruler, a decider, somebody who is going to make everything better for us. And it is our lack of care that we have allowed, that revanchist, like, baby talk. It's baby talk.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Oh my God, I'm scared. So I need daddy.
Well,
That's
also,
really what this fucking is. And we just
speaking of
gotta
that period of time,
get
they
out.
were slogans. They were using slogans to get people to vote their way. Very simple slogans. So these things, 100 years later, it's the same thing. Two things, though, that I think are important. One is I am very grateful that the governor of the state that I lived in my entire life seems to be talking the talk, walking the walk, using the legal system, using social media, and at least trying some I'm also very happy that the president of France, Macron, is actually seemingly very much understanding where we are at with social media, who the real enemy is as he tries to unite his country, which is being completely exploited by Russian throwaway agents and saboteurs. So at least we have two very important leaders. And if California were a country, it'd be about the size of France population wise. So it's very important. So we have Macron and Newsom who actually seem to get it and are willing to say it, you
I
know, out
mean,
loud.
California has a bigger economy than France,
Oh, yeah,
so
of course,
neener.
yeah.
Hey,
But
don't forget Pritzker. Pritzker's in there too.
oh,
Pritzker's
yeah,
Yeah,
at least
yeah, he's doing a pretty good job under the circumstances.
he
You
clearly
know,
loves his state. And
yeah. I mean, here's the thing: like, show me somebody who has two qualities. I need two qualities in a leader. I need empathy,
yeah,
but it needs strength to go with it.
courage too. Yeah,
Courage,
yeah,
balls, whatever you want
yeah,
to call it. You know,
yeah.
I think
Cojones.
cojones. And yeah,
fortitude.
I think both Pritzker and my governor, who I'm awful proud
Yes.
of, are doing a good job.
Speaking
Should we watch
of
some clips?
Speaking of brave people, our friend Zarina Zabriskie has been in Ukraine since almost the beginning of the full-scale invasion, reporting daily, week after week, from the front lines, making movies, showing people, making documentary films, showing people what's actually happening. Her work is responsible for pushing the reporting that we're seeing coming out of the UN and Human Rights Watch, and the latest report showing from the United Nations, showing that these not only are war crimes and crimes against humanity, but now we've accelerated not only drone warfare, but to deportations, which is something that I think most of the world is unaware of. In any case, I think we should start with clip one.
All the reports, and now this, the third one, the most comprehensive one, show the pattern, the repeating pattern, and prove that these atrocities were ordered by the authorities of the Russian Federation, both the military and civilian. And that is very important. The implications here are very serious. So when I was in the press conference with the United Nations Committee a few days ago, I asked them a question about the accountability. And here where I have a little bit of a grievance, and I'm going to share it with you, as much as I'm grateful to the United Nations Inquiry Committee for these reports, they're very important. I feel that there's a bit of a touch of the banality of evil. There's a bit of a bureaucracy there that kind of obscures the tragic nature of these atrocities, because the accountability sounds like yet another department. But there are no departments when it comes to for genocides. It's everybody's departments when children and old people are being murdered and beheaded. The bureaucracy here is a bit of complicity, if you will. And I'm not saying that United Nations is complicit. I'm saying that we as humanity, we as a world should revisit our sensibility, right? And our sense of common responsibility. And when you are at the front line of fire, you feel it very, very well. You see it. When you are not, it takes special ability, like with you guys. You are somewhere out there where it's, well, at this point, relatively comfortable. Let's just put it this way. But at least you are not targeted by the drones. That's what I mean. There are other challenges, right? But you still have the compassion and the ability to see how important it is to all of us as humans to talk about the stories, to make ourselves uncomfortable, and to bring it to the world. That's why
Yes.
report is important, but accountability is completely different realm, and we are not there yet. Right now, the report will be delivered, and then we shall see if the right body, like the International Criminal Court or the
Yeah.
newly formed special tribunal being formed by the European Council, but it's not
Yeah.
yet formed, and it will take a very long time, European long, I should say, but by now, in my experience, American law as well,
Yeah.
and we should all try and speed it up.
So we're trying to do. Yeah. So last time I checked, that video that we put out with Zarina yesterday or the day before has 123 views. And I'm asking friends to watch it and share it. Like, we don't have the resources to market our work. We just do the interviews week after week. And we really need help getting the word out. And she needs help with getting the word out because every day I get more images from her, and she posts a lot of them, of the annihilation of this very important strategic city in Ukraine. And we need engagement. We need people to be aware of it. So
Yeah, I mean, um, she's obviously right that we're not under drone attack here. But we're also under a form of hybrid warfare attack from our own fucking government, right? Um, it's a very interesting dichotomy, right? In Ukraine, there is a government that cares about its people and is
very
fighting
much.
an enemy. And in the United States, it is the government that is launching hybrid warfare attacks. If you follow on just any social media at all, it's impossible to escape, these videos. And yeah, it's not yet drones. It is, but again, let's be clear. The president of the United States said yesterday, maybe the day before, that he would send the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines into every single American city anytime he wants.
Yeah.
And we've got a psychopath running the show over there who would be perfectly willing to do it. Last thing, they keep purging everybody that resists, like the admiral who was in charge of blowing up these fucking boats resigned.
Yeah.
And and he did the right thing. You have to do that.
Yeah.
But it also, what does it do? It removes everybody. They're removing everybody who is going to stop them from these things.
Gee, what does that sound like, Jim?
I don't know. A lot of things. She
Fascism.
mentioned the banality of evil, and just shout out to Hannah Arendt.
Yeah.
Who said that phrase about Adolf Eichmann and the other Nazis that she interviewed, that she she described as the people who look right past you.
Yeah.
And who reminds me of that is Kristi Noem.
Yeah.
Pam Bondi, right?
Yeah.
They're almost too simple to be evil. You know what I mean? They're just these sort of reflections, right? Of evil, and it doesn't seem to occur to them, that what they're doing is actually, evil. It to them it's just, I'm part of a bigger thing and I'm going to do what the bigger thing tells me. And those are the kind of people that, cause World War II.
I mean, banality of evil, the perfect example of that is Mike Johnson. I mean, my deep
Yes.
dive on how he got there, backed by Russians and also potentially compromat because of the people he aligned himself with being convicted child sex offenders. However, as Jim points out, there is also that belief in Trump, true belief that they're, following their mandate, that Trump is their chosen one from their God. And so it is, but you know what? At some
That,
point, I have to think like Jen Stout. At some point, we'll see these people in some variation of The Hague and just following orders or believing, right, not going to lie in a court of law. I have to believe that. I have to believe there will be some justice. I do, because
yeah,
we're
it's
headed.
going to be. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about this a lot. Like, what are the mechanics of this, right? If we get power again, like, how do you prosecute the entire fucking administration, right? They've all been.
Start
They've
by
all,
dealing
they,
in court.
I understand, but they've.
Yeah.
It is a serious challenge, and they know, right, and they say it all the time.
Yeah.
That if people who like the Constitution and democracy get back in power, like, they have to go after these people, and
Well, yeah, we've done it before.
figuring out what's that.
We've done it before. There was denazification. There was legitimately like,
Well,
wait,
yeah, but that happened after the destruction of Germany. That only happened after it was completely destroyed, and so that's not actually a direction
not
that
a
I think we can
model,
go.
of course. But on the other hand, I do want to see justice. And right now they are,
So do I.
they're bastardizing the word justice. They're making it look like those who sought justice in the previous administration were on some, to use their own words, witch hunt. And that's not what happened. It's like this little German Nazi girl asking for asylum. That's not what this is. It's propaganda, and very lethal. And
Well,
it's scary.
you know what, to top it off, you know why she said she's leaving Germany? Why she wants to get asylum? From Antifa.
Oh yeah, that's
She
perfect.
said Antifa is attacking her in Germany. Now, let's talk about just briefly how, like, important that is, because Antifa, Heidi was talking about the communists who were chanting and shit back in Weimar. That they, in 1932, founded a group that was nicknamed Antifa. Those communists who were militant against, they didn't like the Social Democrats either, but they really didn't like the fascists. And those are the first people who were sent to Dachau concentration camp in 1933. It is why Niemöller's poem starts with "First they came for the communists," is because of Antifa, which is what this Nazi girl wants, is using as an excuse, as the threat to get asylum over here. And all of those signals are absolutely deliberate.
Yeah.
Do we want another clip? Because we're running up.
Coordinated.
Do we have a clip?
And they show that the Russian intent and the Russian authorities' intent and orders is to carry out these two campaigns, human safari and deportation, to clear Ukrainian cities and towns and villages of Ukrainians. My logical conclusion to that report is based on my conversations with the military, with analysts here. It is because once a place is free of civilians and void of civilians, if you will, it is easier to attack, it is easier to capture for the Russians.
Yeah. Again, we look at history. We're reminded of these moments in history. And history is happening now. And we've said this a million times on the show. If you ever wondered what you would be doing in the rise of Nazis in Germany, you're doing it now. Whatever that means to you, you're doing it now. So,
I mean, yeah, it's Niemöller's poem. They've been going after trans people. They've been going after immigrants. First they came for the trans people, then they came for the immigrants, and now they come for you. like, that is where this fucking situation is right now, and
Yeah.
it is
And
what it is. But let me one last thing. We are not fucking Weimar Germany.
yeah.
We don't have, we did, at least until Trump. Like, think about what Trump's trying to do. Literally trying to create hyperinflation.
Yeah.
He's like, what are 1,000% tariffs on everybody? What is that literally trying to do? Is trying to create inflation that he can then, fix in specific ways, and but the overall goal is to create the dry tinder, right? That will allow the kind of, conflict and violence that they think will be the, final kind of clamp down, and that they will use to turn America into a white, whatever the fuck, weird, like 1950s version of reality that they think is coming back.
It's the final clamp down.
Oh my god. Are we how are we doing on,
All right, next clip.
Yeah.
I only see Ukraine as the force that can stand up to Russia. Seriously. I mean, I don't see it in Europe, and I'm in Europe a lot. I have friends, I have family, I have all kind of connections in Europe. They are too European. They are lost in their bureaucracy. As I was saying in the beginning of our conversation, this banality of evil, instead of resistance, we are dealing with the wall of tiny little hiccups in legislation, if you will. I respect the law, and I understand that things should be done in accordance with the law, but we are in an extreme situation. We are practically in World War III, only it's hybrid.
Word.
We're in World War III. We just haven't acknowledged it yet, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that is the goal, right? Is to wage World War III without declaring it. What is what we're seeing right now, if not an invasion, but by it's a coalition, right? It's not just the Russians. It's not like, oh my god, the Russians have taken over everything, but we have Russian propagandists, of like, almost, as far as I can tell, all of the official press pool for the Pentagon are Russian propagandists, literally paid by them.
Paid.
Fucking, we have like the checks or whatever, the wires to these fucking, like Tim Pool is, I mean,
Come on, man.
Come on, man. All right, how are we
man.
doing?
We got one more clip, but before we go to it, I thought the Turning Point USA event was creepy.
You mean with JD Vance?
Yeah, it's creepy.
Well, what did JD Vance say about?
Creepy.
Somebody asked him about Palantir, and he said, "Oh, there's this internet meme that I'm real close to Palantir." I'm like, no, that's not the internet meme, you fucking android. The meme is that you are the ill-begotten love child of Peter Thiel, and nobody fucking believes a thing you say. It's not that we think that there's some corporate thing going on here. This is an ideological capture of the
creepy.
vice president.
Yeah, super creepy.
It was fucking creepy.
Really creepy. Super creepy.
Anyway, all right. Quick clip.
Okay, final clip.
Final clip down.
We need the world to recognize that there's a new war crime, new genocide. I mean, eventually it will be known just as concentration camps, just as Holocaust or Holodomor. but we were just in this area when it's not known yet. It is up to us to know it and to stop it.
Yeah. Like, let's stop it. Let's stop it. No one wants
I
it.
mean, not to be grim, but what was the whole Holodomor? It
Yeah.
was starvation as weapon.
Yeah, it was politics. So
Hey, guess
famine
what
and
happens?
politics.
Wait, no, it was deliberate starvation
I know.
of tens of millions of people.
I know.
And I know you do. My
Yeah.
point was that what is happening starting this weekend is that Americans are being starved
Oh, yeah. Right.
for
Yeah.
political purposes.
That
The funds to keep SNAP going, which keeps 42 million people alive in America, is absolutely there. There's literally an emergency SNAP fund. And you know what Mike Johnson said? He said you can't use those funds in an emergency.
well,
Because, hold
he's
on,
doing
almost done. Because they want to use the most basic need, right? There are two needs. You want to feel safe and you need food.
yeah.
Those are your basic fucking needs. And these are the things that they are deliberately taking away from all of us.
And what Jim was talking about earlier, and what Zarina was referencing, was Stalin starving Ukrainians. And what I learned from that through reading Timothy Snyder's Bloodlands is that famines are political, don't have to be. But as Jim was saying, they can manufacture them for political purposes. So I just have to think, A, America has the money to deal with this, and B, if this isn't something that's going to mobilize people, hungry children in America, then what else would? So
I mean, we have the money for a giant, golden dildo attached to the
we have
White House.
help Argentina
I
and
mean,
their
it's great. It's
dude. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. We
You
see
think
what's going
think
on.
people would get it, and
Hey,
yet
spooky Halloween, spooky.
This is the Halloween episode.
Yeah,
It is spooky.
we're not giving you any.
well, yes, we
candy.
do tend to stick to the dark on this program, don't we?
No, we
Yeah,
don't
we
stick
need
to
to
the
give
dark.
out some candy at some point.
We don't
to make
stick to the
people feel
dark.
better.
Well, funny you should mention that, because I decided, if you've been watching our podcast long enough, you're familiar with the Sleaford mods, and
Oh,
we just
yeah.
dropped a new track. So I thought I'd give us a little Sleaford
That's
mods to take us
wonderful.
out.
Thank you,
Here
High
we go.
Fidelity.